like Britney in '99. You gotta hit me one more time. I gotta have you now. Because you're giving me something, a physical kind of flavor. Every movement, a taste I'm trying to savor. What do I do, girl? I don't wanna be just your neighbor, but you're giving me something, a physical kind of flavor. Sweet like apple pie, tastes so good I cry. I gotta have you now. Like MJ in '79. Oh, you got me working day and night. I gotta have you now. Because I know that, baby, you're giving me something, a physical kind of flavor. Every movement, a taste I'm trying to savor. What do I do, girl? I don't wanna be just me, but you're giving me something, a physical kind of flavor. You and me, baby, we got it going on, yeah. You and me, baby, we gotta keep it going strong. Because I know that, baby, you're giving me something, a physical kind of flavor. Every movement, a taste I'm trying to savor. What do I do, girl? I don't wanna be just a neighbor, but you're giving me something, a physical kind of flavor. What do I do, girl? I don't wanna be just your neighbor, but you're giving me something, a criminal kind of flavor.
Man,
Thank you.
fantastic, fantastic.
It takes about probably 80% of my brain power. So. Sorry for making some weird faces.
No, and to keep up with all of that stuff, wonderful, wonderful. I love all of the looping and the fresh sounds. Great, great fresh sounds. I love it.
Thanks, man.
How'd you get started playing?
Well, it's funny. It's actually kind of hilarious to me. I started playing guitar because I really loved the game Guitar Hero as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I would play that like for hours and hours. Like my buddies had a copy of it, and I would always be like, "Hey guys, like, can I come over and play Guitar Hero?" And they'd be like, "Jude, no, like, we don't want to play Guitar Hero. We have it, and we never play it, whatever." So I ended up just playing that like hours on end each day, and that's kind of how it started. I just picked up the guitar from age 12, I think, and then yeah, that's kind of just learned other songs.
Did you come from a musical family?
I did, yeah. So my dad, he was an A&R guy back in the 80s and 90s, and did some work with Amy Grant and some country artists here in town. And so he actually left the music industry in the late 90s, but yeah, definitely come from a very creative household, stays up late, loud kind of family. So yeah, definitely.
Wonderful. And you're from here in Nashville?
From here, yep.
Yep.
Nashville.
One of the few that is actually.
They call us unicorns.
Yes.
It's like if you're in Nashville, or if you're from Nashville and you're doing music, it's like very rare, I guess.
Very rare.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was going to open mics a lot, like several years ago, and I would meet people from Seattle or Austin, wherever, Sydney, Australia, and I'd be like, they'd be like, "Where are you from?" "I'm from right here in Nashville," and they're like, "Oh, wow, that's so weird." So I don't know. You feel like there'd be more people from Nashville doing music here, but kind of rare for some reason.
Tell us a little bit about some of the gear that you're running through and that you're using.
Yeah, well, this is kind of a little bit set up for my electric setup. I kind of threw some pieces on here for the acoustic, So I probably wouldn't use this Nile compressor for acoustic very much, although you probably could. I just haven't experimented with it. But yeah, this Nile compressor, this is from Vertex Effects, my friend Mason out in LA. I give him a shout out for this guy. They hooked me up with that. And then
just as a compressor.
Yeah, just it's also got a preamp in it as well, which is pretty cool.
Is that the first? Talk us through the signal flow. Is that the
Yeah,
first thing
gotcha.
your guitar hits?
Right. Yeah. So don't tell anyone, but I've actually got like a really crappy cable job set up here just for just for today. So sorry, you're looking at these mess of wires. But yeah, first we're going to the Polytune here, and then I've got the Vertex Nile compressor here, and then that's going into the Soul Driver by Exotic Effects. I love this thing. It's so great.
And so that gives a little bit of grit on it.
Yeah. So it's the difference in like. Oh my God, make this guy. So, and it sounds great. It sounds great on electric too. It sounds great on both. But yeah, love this guy. Huge fan of that. The MXR booster, just if I want a little bit more level. This guy, I could probably take the whole show and talk about it. This Boss FT2.
Yes.
I love this thing. I was using it in the song a little bit. It's the difference in this and this. So
Now
it just
that
gives it a little quacky sound.
If you guys that are interested, I put a picture of Jude's Pedalboard on our Instagram page. So if you want to look at the Guitar Gathering Instagram page, it's got a picture of this picture of his board there. The Boss Dynamic Filter FT2,
FT2
don't make it anymore.
They don't. It was made in the 80s. They discontinued it, and it was kind of hard to find. I was actually recording a session for Andy Kata Trio. He's a jazz pianist in town, and his guitar player was using this, Dan Bankhurst. And
Dan, who we've had on the show many
really?
times.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Dan's the man.
Great guy.
So yeah, Dan had this pedal, and he was showing me it, and I was like, dude, I've got to get one. So I bought one that night.
And it's kind of a it's an envelope filter sort of thing for those you that may not be as familiar with it. Kind of sounds like an auto wah, but it gives a less aggressive sound than an auto wah. So it's a much more usable sound. It's more funky and groovy.
And you could get really quacky with it. I don't have it this drastic, but you can turn the Q up and it gets really. But I kind of have it down a little bit, so it's a little bit more mellow,
Great effect.
Yeah, so I love that guy.
For you that may not be as familiar with it, you have your regular standard wah pedal, and then they have some that are auto wah. So as soon as you hit it, depending on the strength of your attack, it will activate that frequency sweep that it's going through, and so you can control that. So instead of having to always be doing it with your foot, you can do it with that, and it's really cool effect.
Right.
I've searched for those. Those are rare.
They are really. I guess I got lucky. It took me.
You did. I've looked for a couple weeks, couldn't find them. Yeah.
Yeah. It took me. I don't know how, but I searched for one that night and got it. It did take a month to get in from Japan, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took a while, but it was worth the wait because I use that just about every day, probably. So.
And where does it go into after that? The looper.
So I think this is what I meant by the crazy cable job I have. This is actually running now to my delay right here, so it's running across the board, and then it goes into my delay here. So I'm doing like most of the modulated stuff here now. So the auto wah is then running from here to here.
To the flashback. This is a TC Electronic.
Yes, I love this thing. It's great because I've got my presets here. 1 is quarter, 2 is dotted eighth, and 3 is dotted eighth and quarter.
Illustrate those if you can, just so folks know.
So if I got a tempo here, So this is quarter here, so I have that preset saved. And then I have the eighth here, dotted eighth there, and this is dotted eighth plus quarter. Oh, actually, you know what? I still have this as eighth. I lied. This is actually just a lesser version of the dotted eighth in case I didn't want it so drastic. Mm-hmm. But it depends on what you want. I mean, sometimes I have the dotted eighth and quarter on the third one. Sometimes I'll just have dotted eighth just a little less, so it's not so apparent. Yeah. But yeah, you can do whatever you want. I mean, this knob down here is all the variations of rhythms you could do, and then you got your mix and repeat and time there if you wanted to do it, manually there. So I love this guy. It's great.
That does function as a looper as well, or does not?
It does. I believe so. Is that right? I think it does.
I know the newer one does, but
to be honest, I don't. I think I had an older one, and I believe it did, or this one might as well. I just could. I never use it because I have the Boss RC30, which I'll get to
which
next.
is great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe maybe the older one did, or this could. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Something like that.
So,
Yeah.
So, but then I'm going into an RV3, a Boss reverb pedal. I actually, I'm not like a huge fan of this pedal personally. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but it gets the job done. I actually use it more so for the stereo splitting. I usually put it at the end of my board sometimes, so I can run into 2 amps, and I'll use it for that, and you get a nice stereo reverb sound. So it's cool for that, but it gets the job done with basic reverbs and whatnot. And then next we're going into RC30, which is great for looping. So like in the song I did earlier, the left is start to record, and then you hit it again, it'll stop the recording. And then this is for if you're done and you want to stop playing the recording. So you got this. Stop it, and then you can clear it by pressing that one and then hitting that guy, and then it erases that recording. And it's really cool too because you can switch tracks. There's 2 tracks on it, so you can switch to the other track, put something on there. And it's honestly, it's really great for songwriting too because you can put a track down and then you can solo over it or whatever ideas you have. You have 2 channels to work with. So
and you can, if I remember right, you can just keep adding the loop as much as you want it.
You can, yeah.
I didn't realize it had a second loop that you could trigger.
It
in
does,
as
yeah.
well.
So if you hold, let's test my knowledge here. I think if you hold this guy here, it'll switch. Yeah, so that red light now goes to... That red light switched to track 2. Now I can record on that track. So, for instance, if I'm on track 1 and I lay down this idea again... and then I can hold that, switch to track 2, and now I've got... Stop it all together, you just double hit and it stops both of them.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's a great pedal. I mean, it's kind of the standard for a lot of basic looping guys like me. I mean, if I was like an Ed Sheeran or something, I might have something a little bigger. But for me, it gets the job done. It's great. So
yeah,
I love it.
Wonderful. Okay, and talk us through the Quantum pedals that you have here.
Totally, yeah. I got to give a shout out to Ortega Guitars. They actually hooked me up with these. I just went out and did some shows out west a couple weeks ago, and they hooked me up with these, and they were super helpful. So it's really cool. So this is on my right foot here. You can see both of them. This right foot is the kick here, and this is the snare here, the trigger. And you can have different sounds for these guys. So if I go over to my main guy here, different sound here. I can switch that. There's a different sound here as well. Really, really cool. This one's kind of like a rototom, like Full House. So, but I really like this guy. It's kind of just a basic cajon sound.
Yeah.
There's also more options there, but if you go over here, the great thing about the Quantum Loop is that it gets all the information from the snare trigger. You can switch its sounds too. So from the beginning, it's this, kind of like an 808 snare. Kind of like a rock ringy snare there. Kind of like a cross stick thing. Hi-hat. And then snaps. Or these are actually claps here. And then these are pretty cool, the snaps. So really, really, really cool. I use it a lot on solo shows that I do because it keeps it interesting. I don't do a whole lot of just solo acoustic shows because for me, I kind of get bored easily. I don't know, and I think maybe the crowd does too. Unless you're an Ed Sheeran, you can literally sell out arenas just playing your acoustic guitar. I don't know. That guy's got something else, but but for me, I really like because I play drums, so I like having, if I'm switching this guy back here, having this with this, if I'm just doing this, that's great, But there's so much more energy when you can go, So it just opens up a whole lot more rhythm possibilities, and that's why I dig those, because you can switch sounds on them. And so during the set, I've got notes like, okay, song 3, switch to snare 3 and whatnot. Definitely really cool. I would suggest it to anybody who's doing the solo thing.
And they're married together. So this one is plugging into that, and then the out of that you said was a
quarter-inch out.
Regular quarter-inch guitar line out.
Right. So the first part of the chain is the snare. And I've just got it kind of wrapped around. You can't really see the signal chain going, but it's snare first, and then the snare goes into the side of the kick, and then the kick has an out, and it's coming out there.
Good.
So, but I've kind of got them reversed because I do snare with my left foot.
Can you adjust the sensitivity?
You can. There's actually, I like it on the setting it's on now, which is constant velocity. But there's also a sensitive velocity where, depending on how hard you can hit it, it'll change volume. So, but I kind of like it consistent because no matter how hard I hit it, I'm not super consistent with my, every time how I hit it. So I get the same sound every time, which is, I really like that. So.
I know you do solo shows. I know you do a trio. Do you have a trio that you work with?
I do. Sometimes, I wouldn't say all the time. Most of the time it's either solo or it's like a 4-piece usually, but sometimes I'll do a trio thing if my buddy Andy can't make it. Andy Kata, the guy I was talking about earlier, he plays keys with me sometimes. But yeah, I've got a consistent thing at Acme, Feed and Seed in Nashville here. About once a month I'm playing there. So sometimes it's trio, sometimes it's 4-piece. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, whether depending on the night, it could be trio or 4-piece or 5-piece.
Yeah. But the looping thing is its own cool cool vibe.
I think for smaller venues like I played Hotel Cafe in LA, and that was a smaller room, and so it was perfect for that setup. Also, it was way far away, so I didn't have my band, so I kind of had to. So, but for here in town, like a room like that, or like High Watt, one of my other favorite rooms in town, definitely band. So.
And then did I see that when you were out in Los Angeles, you were on KTLA as well?
I was, yeah. A friend of mine just reached out to me. He's now a friend. He reached out, and he was an anchor on the show, and I'm really glad I did it, but at first there was so much going on that day that I was like, should I do this? I don't know. Like, there was a lot planned for that day, but we made it happen, and it was so fun, and I'm so glad I did because it was fun to connect with them, and it was a fun time getting to be on the news in LA. So I'm glad they reached out.
Very cool. Tell us about the instrument that you're playing today.
Yeah, so this is another shameless shout out to Orangewood. They are a company that I've gotten involved with this year just through Instagram. They've got a really good presence online of connecting with young guitar players and influencers on Instagram. So I actually reached out to them and I said, hey, like, would you be interested in, I don't know, sending a guitar my way and seeing, if I dig it, we can shout it out, or that was, the agreement, obviously. They sent one, and this was the first one, and fell in love with it. Honestly, the more I play this thing, the more I love it. I played this on all my solo shows out west. I actually did this thing where people were sending me gas money via Venmo.
I saw it.
And
very cool.
They would send me $10, and I would write them a song, and it paid for the whole trip. Anyway, that's a whole tangent. But anyway, played all of that on this. All the shows out west on this. It's been a great guitar, and you can't really beat the price for it. It's $275, and I promise you, they're not paying me to say this.
What model is this? Specific model number or anything?
Yeah, so this is the Oliver Jr. Spruce Live model. It's got a Fishman pickup in it.
Great.
It sounds great. I mean, for how small it is, it actually sounds really nice and full when it's plugged in. So it's actually become my main guitar when I'm doing acoustic stuff, whether it's at church or if it's like a small like concert or whatever. It's been great. And these are actually the original strings that came in the box. So I haven't changed them. And when I was out in LA, I met with them and I told them that. They were like, you have got to be kidding me. You haven't changed the strings. I still haven't changed them. They feel great. So I love it.
Wonderful. Yeah. All right, we've got a couple of questions that are coming. Papa Mark is asking, what's the percussion pedal's name? And it's Quantum
Loop. It's called. It's by Ortega Guitars. They make guitars, but they also make this kick pedal accessory. It's called Quantum Loop.
Quantum Loop. Ron is asking, what model Boss is the Ottawa? Ron, if you want to get it for me for Christmas. It is a dynamic filter FT-2, FT2.
Right.
Okay, and it's their dynamic filter, kind of a beige, pale yellow sort of a pedal. You're not going to find it. It is, I don't know when it was discontinued long ago, and I'm sure they have bigger and better and more things, but that's the one. Yeah, everybody goes to that one.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they would discontinue it. It feels so great. So maybe they'll bring it back. We'll see.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Well, excuse me. Pat is saying Philip McKnight from Know Your Gear did a review on them a while back and was pretty positive. It is a very cool,
cool.
Very cool unit.
Yeah. It's really great. Honestly, just about that pedal, I get a lot of questions about it specifically, and I was really aggressive with responding to people about it. months ago when I hadn't really talked about it, and I was like, yeah, man, it's this pedal, get it. And I still get that question very, very consistently, and so now I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm kind of getting tired of. I should just copy and paste it and then just make it easier on myself. But I have a whole video of me demoing it on my Instagram. You can check it out. So it's great.
And you are killing it on Instagram.
Just having fun.
56,000 followers, and it is. You're putting up stuff all the time.
Man, it's just fun. When I think about like if I was following someone who I was looking up to, like I would want to see what they're kind of doing day to day and like be able to interact with, just have an intimate reaction with them, like on a video of like, hey, like comment what you're doing today or comment your favorite. I was in the studio last week for 5 days in a row, and I said, hey, studio day number 5, name your 5 favorite things, go. Mm-hmm. And people were shouting out their deep conversations with friends, family with my or dinner with my family, and all these different things. And so just things like that, just engaging with people past the music. I think that's the really important part of what people get, that also out of your music. They want to connect with you personally, but Instagram is such a cool way to connect with them extracurricularly.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm just really enjoying it. So if it's fun and you enjoy it like me, it's not a chore. So I really enjoy it.
I was first exposed to you from a Facebook video that came past with you and Sean.
Shannon.
Right, Shannon
yeah.
Callahan.
Right.
And playing just crazy funky stuff, which is now that has gotten to be, you said it was 3 million views or whatever?
Yeah, I think we stopped counting after 3. I don't think it's 4, but I think it's like 3.5 now.
And now y'all have done the official version of it that I saw that came out.
There was a lot of demand for that. Shannon, if you haven't checked her out, her name's Shannon Lauren Callahan. She's a great artist here in town. I got connected with her several months ago. I reached out to her and I was like, hey, we should do a video together. And that was the first one we did, and kind of struck gold on the first one. So we're like, hey, we should do some more. So we've kind of done some little videos ever since then. And so there was a lot of demand for us to make a full length out of that one, and we just kind of couldn't ignore it anymore. So we made a full length one and put it up on YouTube. It's called Treat You Better.
Treat You Better.
Yep.
Yeah, it was great.
So thank you.
It was great. Definitely check it out. I think I put it up on our page as well when I was sending out things to everybody that gets on our email list this morning. G.T. Smith is saying, what inspires you regarding music writing? What is your kind of process when you're coming up with these songs, grooves, things like that?
Man, it's tough. I mean, on the way over here, I wrote 2 songs, not finished them, but I had 2 song ideas on the way over here, and it's just like you can't really capture it. I don't know. You can't really formulate it, in my opinion. I can, at least. I mean, there's definitely 9 to 5 songwriters here in town, and this is a city that's based on cranking out songs left and right. But for me, I think like it's in the day to day. I mean, Michael Jackson wrote "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough" in his kitchen. He just started humming a melody, and that's how that song came about. And that's what I've seen. It is for me. Is it just comes and goes, and you got to be responsible to catch them and build them up. Sometimes you get 80% of the idea, and then it's easy to finish, and then sometimes you get 5% of the idea, and then you have to work for the rest of the 95%. And, for me, obviously, like anybody else, it's life experiences, things that I go through, things that impact me, and beautiful things I see in life or friendships. And
does it sometimes start with the music, with it just a groove?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. In Shannon's case, and mine and Shannon's case, we had that little jam, and that was just music, and then that came to be a song. So. I would say more consistently for me, it starts with, well, actually, I take that back. I mean, it's here and there. Sometimes it's a beat, sometimes it's a chord progression, sometimes it's a melody, and yeah, there's just if I've learned anything, there's not a concrete formula to how this stuff happens. It's just I think that's kind of what makes music what it is and so special, is that it's just I don't know. It's all kind of comes from. The air, it seems like, and I'm very open that like my inspiration comes from God, and I see that as like a gift that I need to steward. So that's how I see it. But I'm just trying to take those ideas that just seem to just kind of get plopped in my lap and make the best of them. So.
And when that creative thought comes by, you just kind of have to go with it when it comes. You learn with creative people that when the wind is blowing, you kind of just have to go with it, because there's lots of times where I'm going to be creative today. Yep. And it's just tough. That is a tough road.
I've learned, and I also grew up making, I grew up doing a lot of video stuff when I was younger. I had a little YouTube channel or whatever, and I got into video editing, which is it's a different trade. It's very, in my opinion, very concrete in that there's a certain way to make it look good, and when it looks good, it is good, you know. And it's very easy to tell apart, a bad video quality from a good video quality. And with a thing like music, when I started to transition to mixing music, it was so frustrating because I couldn't I was like, okay, what are the rules? You know, it's like, okay, how do I do this? Just tell me step 1, 2, and 3. But it's just like, if anything I've learned, like you said, there's no formula for it. It literally just is all about the emotion, how it makes you feel, and you just got to go with it. Yeah, because it comes and goes.
It's a combination between grabbing that spark when it comes and then craft. And then sitting and with discipline, trying to craft a song out of it.
Yep, totally.
You know, it's an odd thing. Grandpa Joe is asking, do you play an electric guitar on tour? And the answer is yes.
For you or me?
For you.
Okay, I do. I've got.
I've seen you. I've seen lots of videos with you playing. More videos with you playing electric than acoustic. So
totally. Yeah. I've got 2 guitars that I love. I've actually got an '87 Japanese Strat that. It just feels like it's running into a compressor pedal at all times. I just
sounds
love it.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love that thing. And then I'm also playing this yellow Squier Telly that someone gave my sister. It was like this guy who was interested in my sister gave it to her, and she never played it. So I took it and I was like, oh, I'll play it. And then as of lately, I've kind of realized how good the little guitar is. So I don't know, every now and then you get a Squier that just sings, and then it's one of them. So yeah, I play that guy nearly. Probably 70% of the time lately. So,
wow.
Because the blue guy's getting old, so it's kind of, you got to take care of it, and it's not a road dog. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Can you play us another song?
Let's do it. Yep.
What are you going to play for us?
I'll play Groove In. This is the title track off the last EP that I put up last year.
Great.
Cool.
Wonderful.
Turn that playlist on. 100 songs that kinda dragged on way too long. Don't hear the drums and I can't hear no guitar. I told her I don't see this going very far, 'cause I got to hold on to another rhythm off the wall, baby, that's my wisdom. I play cool when you play out of time. I keep grooving. All out of tissues, baby, send some Jackson 5. You were the girl that didn't like JT, and I gotta say that made me pretty angry now. You were alright, but baby, that just crossed the line. Keep on feeling, oh, when the stars battle at ground zero. Mr. Mars, baby, that's my hero, and no one else ever gets me quite as high. I keep grooving. I'm sick of thinking lately what we could have done. I spent some reason, baby, that's my medicine. I play cool when you play it out of time. I keep grooving. Grooving, yeah. I keep grooving now. Baby, no, right now, yeah. City lights filling up my rearview, a skyline, yet I only see you. You want out, but you'll stay in there this time. I keep grooving, 'cause Billie Jean, baby, that's my lover. And stay deep when you lose my number. I play it cool when you're playing out of time. on moving, keep that grooving. Keep on moving, keep that grooving. Keep on moving, keep that grooving now.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well,
Thank you.
wow. Amazing. We'll let Jude catch his breath here for a
Another
second.
one that takes 80% of my brain power.
There you go. There you go.
He told me I had 2, so I had to, yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's give something away. We haven't given anything away yet. Last week we had Parker Hastings on the show. If you haven't had a chance to check out, well, it wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago, the show that we did with Parker, thumb-picking champion, great show, great guy. Do you know Parker Hastings?
I don't,
by any chance?
No, I should.
Goes to Belmont, thumb picker of the year, and great, very different from what you're doing,
yeah.
but it was a great show. So anyway, he had left a few CDs, so I've got a CD. Somebody's about to win this.
Go.
The
Can I win
winner
it?
of this, well, I only have one.
Ah, dang. Okay, y'all can win it.
The winner of this is Ruben Rivera. Ruben Rivera.
There you go.
You have just won Parker's CD. Hey, Ruben, send me your information at service@mightyoakmusic.com and same address, screen name, what you won, things like that, and I will get it out to you. So if you haven't had a chance to check out that show, that was great. I mean, it's almost got 2,000 views in the last week or so, so it's been great. So check out Parker's show. We've got our, let's see, so many things I need to announce for you. Oh, I'm going to need help. Cameron, can you bring me my black bag over there? There's a little case inside that middle black bag. There's a little plastic case. Bring me that. Thank you. That's the one.
I'll play while Cameron gets it.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Little music. This is my little bag of stuff that you need for a guitar player. And in this is my handy-dandy little guitar tool that I got from our good friends over at Music Nomad. And this little thing, it'll adjust everything on your guitar. It'll adjust every screw and thing on pedals and stuff like that. And you can switch it out. It's got all kinds of screwdrivers. A handy little thing. This is a little kind of an 8-in-1 tool. We've got that on the website. But they've just come out with a new one, which is like, I think, a 34-piece set with this. I think it's like 16 different bits that come on it. It's got Allen wrenches, it's got hex things, everything you would need for a guitar, and it's got a volume knob puller and stuff like that. That's going to be our resource of the month. Y'all are trying to get a picture of this little junky thing that I use all the time. So this is in that unit, but also the knob puller and all these other great things. We've just got it. I've been waiting for it for months. It finally just came in. If you're interested, check it out. It is the best toolkit. I don't have one here with me because it's on its way, should get here tomorrow. But it is the best guitar toolkit I found. Fits great in your case, stuff like that. If you're interested, check it out. The guys are putting up the link for it now. The Premium Guitar Tech Screwdriver and Wrench Set. It's the best one I have.
See that, Steve?
Yeah, it's a great little tool. Let me get the little cover off of it. And
you have to send me the link.
it's a great little unit, and you can tighten up all your pedal things, all of your output jacks, things like that. Even the awkward little Telecaster sunken one.
Yep.
This fits that.
Okay, heck yeah.
So it was made for guitars. So anyway, this tool comes with all of these other pieces of it. Anyway, check that out. We just put that on the website, I think, yesterday. So and we've already sold 20 or so of them. So it's a great little unit. We've got our fall fingerstyle guitar retreat. You guys can't see our studio audience, but we have Colin is in our studio audience today, and Colin's going to be at our fall fingerstyle retreat along with international fingerstyle champion Don Ross and Van Larkins and Ian Ethan Case and all kinds of amazing players. It is almost filled. I've got one spot left for a lady. It's in the ladies' dorms. So if you're interested, we've got one spot left for our fall fingerstyle retreat. Other than that, it is completely sold out, guys. If somebody cancels, if you want to be on the waiting list, usually we have one or two drop out at the very last minute. So if you would like to come to that, it's at the end of this month, October 30th through November 3rd. Peak fall, if fall ever gets here to Nashville, it is crazy how hot it is. But they say that it's still coming. It's gonna get here, and we're at the peak time. So if you're interested, it's a wonderful fall fingerstyle retreat that we put on each year, and it's a great time of learning and relaxing and being 10 feet away from Don Ross, National Fingerstyle Champion. Then we also have our Summer Guitar Gathering Conference, which is in June, and that is coming up June 10th through the 13th. And if you are, I put this up today. I thought, what could we do? If you sign up for the fall or for the Summer Guitar Conference before October 30th, we will include a whole bonus thing of all of the fretboard workouts that we have put out. So speed and agility, jazz chords, money chords, major scale mastery, levels 1 and 2, all of that will be in there if you register for our fall conference by October 30th. So just a little incentive for your early birds that are interested in doing that. So check that out. I think I got one more announcement. Oh, you've got your website.
I do.
Tell us about JudeSmithMusic.com. What all is on there?
Right, JudeSmithMusic.com. There's just links to Spotify and iTunes really on there. You can stay up to date with tour dates on there. And then, other than that, that is pretty much it. There's a bio on me there, but you can just check out my Instagram. That's probably better. Yeah. So, tour dates and music is all on there. You can check it out.
Yep. So if you don't follow Jude yet, check him out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all that stuff. Yep. Your YouTube channel as well. Got a few things up on there. Right. And so it's great. Thrilled to have you. Thrilled to have you here.
Thanks, man.
Okay, we have a couple of as you have questions, please type them in. If you can use all caps, that helps us find them quickly. Got a couple questions. Skip Russell is saying, did you take lessons along the way? Or are you pretty much self-taught?
No, I didn't. I didn't take lessons. I did what I'm going to do with my kids, which is I was in piano lessons for 4 years and learned theory and learned the grand staff. Now, I can't remember how to read music, but it taught me so much about music, which I think should be learned on piano, just personally, because that's where you visually see intervals, you see how the notes kind of interplay with each other. So I did piano for 4 years, and then I told my mom, I want to play guitar. And then my classical piano teacher was just so bummed. Miss Clarice Hargrove, if you're out there. But I really enjoyed it. I started playing guitar when I was about 12, like I said, after just playing Guitar Hero incessantly. And then from there I didn't take any lessons. I just found fun songs to play. That was the most important thing for me is keeping it fun. I tell people that when they ask me, what should I do to get past this rut of playing? Because we all get there as guitar players. So for me, it was just like finding fun songs to play, finding challenging things to overcome and learn. And just that kind of slowly led to me writing my own songs and having fun that way. That's kind of how it started. No lessons, but if you're doing it every day, that's kind of lessons.
What was your first real paid gig?
Wow. First paid gig? Okay, I won't say who, but I did play a show for. There was a banquet dinner for some executives that were getting together here in town, and I actually got the gig through my uncle. He actually connected me with a guy to play the gig, and I actually ended up playing the gig, picked up the gear, picked up the sound system, set it all up, did everything. I thought that was just normal for the musicians.
One-man show, yeah.
So set everything up, mixed myself. And then later to find out that I didn't get paid nearly as much. So I also learned the lesson that night to not vent on social media because everybody's watching. So that was a good lesson to learn. But I would say, I think that was probably my first paid gig. So
yes, wonderful. Yeah. And Keith is asking how'd you got started. So we kind of cover that a little bit. I also wanted to mention, you mentioned the orange wood guitars, which I was not familiar with. If you want to check those out, you can go to orangewoodguitars.com and check out. They're out of California, if I remember right.
LA. Yep.
Yeah, and so they've got some wonderful instruments there. Check them out. Show them some love.
Yep.
Pat is asking, Steve, what am I doing in Ann Arbor? Oh, okay. Well, next week I'm going to be in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm happy to meet with whoever is in our guitar family that wants to meet with me while I'm there. It's be about Thursday or Friday or Saturday, of next week. And what I'm there for, I'm actually there to meet with Randall Faber of, you mentioned piano lessons, the Faber piano series, arguably the largest piano instructional series in the world. I mean, they're bigger than Suzuki. And I'm meeting with the head of that, Randall Faber. So it's very, very cool. Anyway, it's in Ann Arbor. Never been to Ann Arbor. Cool. So if any of our guitar families in Ann Arbor, Friday and Saturday, and would like to have a lesson or get together while I'm there, send me an email at service@MightyOakMusic, and we will try and make it out and connect with you. Let's give away one more thing. We had this is just a shirt from our last conference. Actually, I think this one was from our first conference that we did shirts 2 years ago. So pick somebody that's a large, Cameron. That's going to be tough. We'll test out your
how do you even ask that question?
Skill there.
Who's large out there?
Great. Okay, well, Rita Carson, you have just been declared a large, and I hope you're a large because that's all I have. So send me your information, service@mightyoakmusic.com. Man, how did we get off on that weird tangent? Okay. Let's say, G. Smith is saying, have you ever played with bandmates or always played solo? And you have mixed with...
Well, it started out solo. I mean, because I couldn't afford a band, or I guess I didn't know the guys or something. But, started out solo, and then I had my first taste of band shows, and I was like, can't go back.
Yeah.
So, but no, I mean, not to say I don't do solo stuff. I'm here doing that. I mean, there's a time and place for it, and there's venues to accommodate both. So,
what would you say to the guitarist? One of the things I really appreciate about your playing is just your sense of groove and sense of time. I'm sure a lot of that comes from your drumming background. Sure. What would you, any advice that you would have to a guitar player for kind of instilling that sense of inner rhythm? Which is a tricky thing to teach.
Yeah, well, I'll answer this in a roundabout way. I think for me, maybe, me having a love for drums and playing drums, I actually first picked up drums and then piano and then guitar. Just having that instilled rhythm as a kid, like learning that and having fun through that, that's what kind of led to that showing up in my guitar playing, I think, because I am very percussive in my right hand, and that's because of my hi-hat hand.
Yeah.
But that's all because it was fun for me. So I think that's just a question that's in a little bit of a tangent. I think it's really important to figure out where are you having most fun. If you're having most fun on guitar, that's great. Just put the time in there, and it will never feel like practice. But I think there's also something to be said for the times when you're instilling, practice time, even if you don't want to do it. That's definitely something we all have to do. For me specifically, I think, just play. Honestly, I played drums. I've been playing drums at the church that I'm at for the last. How old am I again? Probably 11 years. So
how old are you?
24.
24. Yeah.
So, so I've just been playing there since I was really young, and so that's kind of just been showing up. The more that I play, the more that shows up in my guitar playing. But that's not to say that the only way to get a really firm right hand is to play drums. I mean, the answer to that question is just practice. And my other note to that is keep it fun. Like I said, I think that's the most important thing for me is when I get excited about a tone or I get excited about a song idea, that's when I find myself running back to it and spending more time on it because I'm having fun. And if you're not having fun making music, like what are you doing? So I think that's really, really important.
Some of the things as you're practicing, a lot of times we just practice by ourselves and we don't have any sort of rhythmic, we just work on our stuff. It's a good idea every now and then to work with, of course, metronomes, but like work with drum loops and drum machines, anything like that that can give you a sense of time, and to where you can start experimenting where you line up in time,
Yeah.
in a groove.
I'd like to add on to that too. Playing with humans is so important too.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's another thing that I really benefited from playing early on in church is playing with playing with older guys, and getting a sense of musicianship and pocket, and things like that. So that was really important too. Not just playing to. It's definitely great to play to loops and quantize things like that. But I think there's also there's a magic that you can only get with playing with other guys.
Exactly. Those of you that don't have an outlet for your playing, search one out. Find some folks to play with. I don't care whether it's a little blues jam or a bluegrass jam in your area. Find some things, some people to play with. There are some things in music that you can only learn when playing with other people.
Yeah.
You can only learn it on the job. You can't learn it out of a book.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't come that way.
Totally.
So seek out those things. I'm embarrassed. I'm not good enough. Get over. That's part of the thing you have to get over.
Yeah.
Is that whole thing, and just enjoy playing with others.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I mean, I think maybe if there's anyone watching who thinks that I have it all together as a guitar player, I definitely don't. I mean, if you could look inside my head when I'm playing, it's, oh crap, that sucked. Oh dang it. Well, that was good. Okay, so it's this constant analyzing yourself that just you got to shut off. And I don't know how to do it yet. I'm still getting better at it. But the more that you can just kind of, John Mayer said he used to play in his bedroom and dream about playing for thousands of people, but now he plays for thousands of people, and he feels like he's in his bedroom. So it's about I think it's about putting in enough time to where you get to the point to where you are just having a conversation on your instrument. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and knowing your gear
Right.
is helpful in performing as well. So your gear is not a hindrance to you getting your music
Right,
out.
totally.
What are some guitar players that you are listening to these days that you like, that you've appreciated over the years?
Totally. Well, in my room, I have right in front of my laptop where I work, where I record. I have 9 vinyl records on my wall, so my top 9. I would have done a top 10, but I think 9 fits better on a wall. But so it's top 9. Right in the middle is George Benson with Breezin'. That was a record that came out in '76, and that whole era of George Benson is like my favorite. So really love his playing. It's just so conversational. It's not super fast, but it's just like little conversations he'll have, like. Just little things like that. That wasn't the most complex thing I could play, but it was saying something, And that's something that I really picked up from him, and I'm still trying to learn, because that, like I said, is the most... that's when I think you're at your most musical, is when you're saying something without words, and I think that's what makes music awesome. George Benson, John Mayer, obviously, who is not a John Mayer fan. If you're playing guitar, I think he's inspired so many people, whether or not you realize it. So, John Mayer, Nile Rodgers, love Corey Wong. He's a guy who's doing some cool stuff lately. Who else? Johnny Buckland. I grew up a huge Coldplay fan. I'm still a huge Coldplay fan. And I learned from him the lesson of simplicity, again, in playing something that accents the song, because if the song's not good, then people aren't going to enjoy it as much. And so he really showed me from a young age that he was the role of Mr. Do just enough, and do just enough to support the song. And he's an amazing guitar player, but he always did what was best for the song, and that was the biggest lesson I learned from him. There's a couple of search out. Those are definitely still my top 5. So.
And you mentioned Nile Rodgers on there.
Yeah, totally.
So much of groove and strumming and just finding a little funky part that fits.
Yeah, totally.
Which is
they should put his right hand in a museum.
Yes, yes. That ability to just take a little triad and just make that into a groove that is the song. Oh my goodness, that's the song. Yes, that is Nile Rodgers. Totally.
Yeah. And his use of muting too is just really great. I mean, I don't know La Freak by heart, but it's like. Just really percussive, like it gets you dancing almost, and it's not a drum, but it almost gives you that like rhythmic feeling. So that's something he's so good at that I really admire.
You often don't think of a guitar in that way. We're thinking strumming and stuff like that. but you can take just a little muted groove like that and make that a little signature that
Right.
makes the whole song work.
Right. Yeah, this is something I talked about. If any of you follow Pickup Music on Instagram, they're a community of musicians, and they also post really great content about playing and things to learn. And so I did a song squad with them. It's a hashtag that they use where artists will come on and they'll create a song for pickup, and then you can learn it and you can tag them in it. So it's really cool. And I just talked, I did a video with them and talked about this exactly, which is just like the right hand thing of like, and this might segue into the next thing I want to play with you.
Sure, yeah.
But the principle of, using your right hand as kind of the rhythm keeper and maker of just like, so if you got that going and then your left hand's calling the shots as to when to engage the chord. And this is constantly going. That takes a lot of practice with, knowing how to mute the strings and getting a feel for how to not let the strings you don't want pop out. So that takes some practice there. But for me, I found so much percussiveness and the things that I really like about drums and what they make me feel through that, too, of just like being able to, if you got one note. Now, if I open up all those strings, that's hitting all those strings. But as soon as I mute it, muting is really, really important too. And if you can learn that, if you can just sit down and learn how to control each of those from not singing when you don't want them to and to open up when you want, that's something that's really helpful too.
Talk about that for a second. I mean, we've got a minute or two before we finish up there. Okay, what are you doing for the person that's never really experimented with that?
Okay.
Between, hey, you've got all these open strings, but how do you get just one note while you're strumming you're actually whacking 3 or 4 strings, but only one of them is sounding? So talk about that muting. Maybe we can get some shots of this, your right hand on that.
For me, I've really benefited from, and I think sometimes in guitar world this is a no-no from like a classical standpoint, but if you're playing rock guitar, like who cares? I love using my thumb because it helps me mute more of the strings if I need to. Also, it helps me complete chords better. Like if I'm doing this chord, I was playing this earlier. Now I saw you were playing it the more traditional way, which is something like this, right? Where you have this.
Yeah, and you were using the thumb over the top. Yeah.
Now I'm not comfortable playing it that way, but for me, I mean, either way you go about it, it's fine. But I've found a lot of help in utilizing the thumb because it allows me to have an extra finger if I need it, so I can do this.
Yep.
So I really like that. But also in a muting sense, if we're talking about that, it helps me cover up the E string if I don't need it. And then I use my index finger to kind of bar the rest. So over like that right there, I'm muting everything. And I might even mute it a little bit better by kind of closing and opening that. And that's a feel that's just got to be practiced, and you've got to try it out. I mean, I wasn't good at this, 7 years ago. It just takes doing it over and over again. But that, and then engaging the note that you want, and then returning back to muting again is kind of the key. So if you've got this, and then hit that note, and then back to muting. So if you can get this established, and you're good there. Now just work on getting the notes. So
beautiful. And
if that makes sense.
So your fingers are never actually coming off of the fretboard.
Right.
Is your fretting hand
there, kind of like a harmonic.
Yeah.
In a way. It's kind of on the string, but just kind of resting there. It's not like if you push it down too much, you're going to hear it, But yeah, it's just resting on there, and then you just engage it when you need it.
And it allows you to open up your strumming hand a bit to where you're not having to be tight down in there. You can loosen up a little bit.
And that's where the rhythm comes from.
And that's where the rhythm comes in there. Wonderful.
Right.
Wonderful. Doug is saying, does it help with the delay on and the muting style? That makes it a little cooler, I think.
Oh, yeah. I guess I have delay on. I didn't even notice.
Yeah. Cool. All right. 1 minute. We got to get out of here, and we need to do another song.
Cool.
All right. Let's give away one of your T-shirts.
Cool. That's great. They're actually over there. Should I?
Yeah. Go ahead and whip out one. We're gonna have a couple of announcements and do one closing song there. I'm gonna be in Michigan next week, and then on the weekend, I'm gonna try and get up to Toronto, Canada. So while we're kind of heading up in that direction, so if you are in the Detroit, Ann Arbor, Lansing area or whatever of Michigan, or in Toronto, and you would like to have a lesson while I'm in your area or something like that, contact me, service@mightyoakmusic.com, and I will try and make it work as we're kind of making our little run up there. We're not going to have a live lesson next week, but we will have a guitar chat. We've been doing our guitar chats on the discussion board at guitargathering.com, and those have been a lot of fun. So we're going to do another guitar chat next week on Tuesday. So we actually won't have another live lesson for 2 weeks after that. I'm trying to think of anything else I need to let you guys know about that. Oh, let me just encourage you for a second. Jude touched on it as well. Make your music mean something. You want to say something when you play. I remember good friend David Moyes used to be the guitar player for Air Supply, and he tells the story about how being up on stage and at some club, and he's got his eyes closed, and he opens his eyes, playing his solo, he opens his eyes, and the club owner is right there in front of his face, and he's shouting, "Speak to me!" And the message of that is, always be trying to, don't just play notes. That's a waste of sound. Say something when you play. Make your music mean something. I've heard way too many note players in guitar players, and it's so refreshing to hear somebody that's focused and they want to say something when their music is going on. You be that person. Make your music mean something and speak something when you play.
That's right. Amen, brother.
It's great. It's great. Don't waste your notes. Don't waste your make them mean something. All right. I think that is all that I need to announce. Check out Jude's music at judesmithmusic.com. I want to thank our producer, Stephen Quinn, our chat we're running tonight, Cameron Drury, and our wonderful moderators, Doug and Neil. Appreciate you guys so much. And we are going to play, your shirt. Yes. Show us your shirt.
It's got a guy who looks like me on it.
There you go. And we've got them in all sizes. So if who's going to win this shirt?
Is it going to be another large person?
Gene C, you have just won this shirt. But, Gene, you need to tell us really quickly what size you are so that we can make sure and get you the right size. Okay? So before we go, make sure and type it in the chat, Gene C, and we can go from there. I see some of y'all are putting your own sizes on there. That's
nice.
That's going to screw us all up as I'm going back to the chat. Rest assured, I'll be all screwed up with that. All right, Gene C says XL, so that's great. All right, thanks, Gene.
Cool.
Send me your information at service@mightyoakmusic.com and your address and all that sort of stuff. All right, what are we going to do?
Well, I think it'd be cool to finish on that idea that kind of illustrates what we were talking about with the muting.
Great.
So let's do that. There's no lyrics to this one. It'd just be you and me playing.
Great.
Let's do it.
And so tell us the chords so everybody can follow along.
Chords are E minor 9. Turn my guitar up here. E minor 9. This is a G over A. And then A over B, which I'm playing with my thumb there. And then again. And then again. And then it goes to this thing here. G over A over B, and then C 6 9, and kind of a B dominant thing.
Okay.
So that's it. I'm gonna loop it so we can.
Okay, great. You do your stuff. I'll try and hang on. There you go. Thank you so much.
Awesome, man.
Appreciate
That's
it. All right. We will see you guys next time. Keep up the great work in your own learning, and we will see y'all next time.